Welcome to In Touch Crime Beat. I'm Officer Don with Bay of Commonwealth Attorney Ray Larson.
Out of jail, okay? Don't mess up.
And those are the people, those repeat offenders, the ones that go to prison. And
I say we're the #1 rated radio show in the whole country. Officer Don with Bay of Commonwealth Attorney Ray Larson. And Ray, we started off by looking at your website here, and there's one thing that we talked about heroin, and you told me that a lot of people don't want to talk about a heroin problem in Lexington or Kentucky for that matter. And to recap, with a lot of the pill operations being shut down in Kentucky, a lot of the pill heads are turning to heroin. It's easier to get to now. It's cheaper.
oh yeah,
and that's one of the things that we're dealing with. Heroin deaths are up significantly here in Lexington and around the state.
Let me give you the stats for 2012. We had 14 homicides, you know, where somebody shot and killed, somebody murdered somebody, just they call them in general homicides. 14. We had 21 traffic fatalities, but we had 63 drug overdose deaths, and 22 of those were attributable to heroin. Now, the year before, we only had 1 attributable to heroin, so heroin is making a huge inroad into across the country, for that matter.
And it's as dangerous as any drug that we've ever dealt with, including crack. Crack cocaine is very dangerous, meth is very dangerous, but heroin is right up there. And the fact that it's so easily accessible, you have a little heroin breakdown on your website. It's facts about heroin, what it looks like, how much it costs. And it says the smallest dose of heroin is typically sold as a bindle or a pack and weighs about 1/10 of a gram.
Yeah.
You say it sells for anywhere from $15 to $33 a hit, and that would be dependent, I guess, on the purity, where you get it from, the quality of the heroin.
You know, the real problem with heroin, and the reason people are dying from this, is that the purity is such right now that people are using heroin, and they typically inject it. And the purity is not what it was in the 60s. I mean, in the 1960s, the purity of heroin was in the neighborhood of 3 to 7%, I'm told. Now, it's 40 to 50%. Now, somebody takes that kind of heroin that's strong, guess what? The heroin kind of shuts the old body down. And that's the reason people are dying.
Much easier to OD. The other issue is it's something that you inject, and with needles, you're dealing with a lot of drugs, or a lot of diseases, hepatitis, AIDS. It's very possible that we'll see an increase of that related to the fact that people are now injecting this drug.
We already are. And I'll tell you the other issue. Heroin is, because everybody that's probably listening to this probably knows somebody that's addicted to pain medication. Well, it's harder to get now, and the pill addiction crosses the income levels. It crosses, I mean, people in the suburbs, people in the inner city, everywhere. And what we're seeing around the country is that the heroin is moving into the suburbs.
Same deal.
They've developed a delivery system because people are having a harder time getting the pills that they're addicted to. And with that, these slugs that are selling this poison are bringing the crime that goes with it into the suburbs and everywhere else. And it's, in addition, once they get into the heroin as their drug of last resort, once they get into that, then...
Well, that's the end of the road. I mean, marijuana is a gateway drug, and as you said last week, heroin is the end. It's like the worst you can do. What can you do that's worse, more dangerous than heroin? What is it?
Well, the addiction of heroin must be phenomenal, because if you start taking heroin, you're going to become addicted pretty quickly, and then you develop tolerance, so you got to have more. Once you do that, you know, it never ends until you either die or have to go through very, very significant treatment. So what we decided to, I got in touch with Chief Ronnie Baston, Kerry Harvey, who's the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Kentucky. And we had a pretty heavy-duty meeting yesterday to create what I want to call a drug enforcement and prosecution project, which is similar to the ceasefire program. And those people that don't know what the ceasefire program is, we brought all of the agencies, the enforcement agencies and prosecution agencies in our community together, federal and state, to talk about how can we most effectively prosecute people that commit crimes with guns. And we did that in 2001, and we have had some serious success with that, and we thought maybe we ought to be doing the same thing, because when we deal with these slugs that are flipping dope out into the community, I want the dealers hit hard. I want them in prison. I want them to understand if you're going to do poison in our town, your butt's going to prison. And because we know two things about people that go to prison. When they go to prison, they don't commit crimes. The other thing we know is that when they don't go to prison, they do commit crimes. And we owe more to the public, the law-abiding public, than we do to these slugs that commit crimes. So we created this, what I call the Drug Enforcement and Prosecution Project. Scott Blakely is with the Drug Enforcement Operation for the City Police, and we're getting a plan. We'll put it together, and then in a month we'll share that plan with everybody, and away we go.
It'd be like ceasefire, the ceasefire project.
That's
so
exactly
drug dealers watch out, and that's what you have to do. You know, you set the bar in the community that law enforcement, prosecutors are not going to tolerate it, and hopefully that will deter them. Of course, they'll move on to somewhere else. But
here's the point is when we catch these guys, the judges have got to put them in prison. They can't just say, okay, you go out there and sin no more. Well, give me a break. It's time for us, the people that pay taxes in this state and this city, pay taxes to the government so that the government will do what the government's supposed to do, and that's do everything it can to protect the safety and security of its citizens. And right now, it's thanks to our legislature, it ain't happening.
Tune into the following stations to hear the full episode.